coming with a huge hit and Spider-Man's really popular again.
Oh, that's fantastic. Rush more Spider-Man movies in production right away. We need more Spider-Man.
Well, sir, we can't make any Spider-Man movies. Only Marvel can. It's part of that deal where they make the movies and we get all the profits.
Ah, yes. That great deal I made. Well, are they making any more Spider-Man movies we can profit off of?
Well, there's one more next year, but that's really about it.
That's not nearly enough. What other heroes do we have?
Well, sir, I don't think we own any more heroes.
We don't have any heroes. But we have villains. We can make a Spider-Man villain movie.
Wait, you want to make a Spider-Man movie without Spider-Man?
Yes, we'll make it like Suicide Squad. Everyone loves Suicide Squad.
Well, sir, I don't think that I guess it could work if you pick a villain that's not really directly tied to Spider-Man.
You know what? That guy with the tongue and the teeth and the big mouth, I see him everywhere. He's very popular. Let's use him.
Sir, that's Venom. He's directly tied to Spider-Man. His origin is through Spider-Man. I don't think that's gonna work.
That doesn't matter. We'll work it out. It'll be fine.
Well, sir, I don't think that...
Think? I don't pay you to think. Get out of here. I am such a genius. Where do I come up with such fantastic ideas? Ah, yeah.
Hey everybody, Sexy Matt the Pharaoh Wizard here. Unfortunately, it's here. The movie nobody wanted. The Spider-Man-less Venom movie. What I like, what I dislike, let's get into it. So Venom is brought to us by director Ruben Fleischer, who did Zombieland, surprisingly. One of my favorite zombie movies, so well done there. And the plot is Eddie Brock is a... journalist, kind of like a high-end, like, I'm gonna get you journalist, taking down guys kind of journalist. And he's trying to take down this rich guy named Carlton Drake. And Carlton has his own space program, and they brought back 4 alien life forms. And when Eddie's trying to take down Carlton Drake, he comes in contact with one of these alien life forms, which turns out to be Venom, turning him into the titular Venom, and then things happen. Without too many spoilers, that's the general plot of Venom. So let's talk about the characters. So we have the titular Venom, played by Bane, or Mad Max, or that guy that likes to dream a little bigger.
You mustn't be afraid to dream a little bigger, darling.
Tom Hardy himself. And he's not good. He's not good in this. I'm sorry. First problem is the accent he went with was basically sleepy. Like, you know that voice we all have when somebody wakes you up with a phone call and you're like, hello? Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, no, I'm awake. It's fine. Yeah, that's his accent through this movie. It's, hey, I'm Venom. We gotta do the thing, and yeah, we're gonna get him. Yeah, that's kind of his accent through this entire movie. And then Eddie Brock, they gave him like every personality, which meant he had no personality. He was like manic, and then he was ironic, and then he was like good-hearted, and then he was kind of a dick, and he was kind of all over the place, so you never get a sense of who he really is. And yeah, I know people are layered and things of that nature, but the problem is when you try and do comedy off of that, which they tried to shovel in a lot of that, it doesn't work because you can't. If he has no set personality, you can't be like, oh, that's so Venom. Or he can't go against his personality, and you're like, he doesn't normally do that, because you're like, does he normally do? I don't know. Is that funny? How is it? I don't. So I couldn't get a grasp on who Eddie Brock was supposed to be. He is all over the goddamn place. He's goofy at points, and he did like the whole Jack Sparrow thing for a little bit, but then he stopped doing that, and then he was like, wasn't. Like, he was like angry at times, and then he wasn't, and I don't know. I don't think I got a good sense of who Eddie Brock was at all. It was kind of rough. And of course, we have to have a generic love interest, so we have Michelle Williams, who's known for playing Marilyn Monroe in My Week with Marilyn, playing Anne Waning. She exists. She's there. She's a lawyer, and I guess tries to do the right thing sometimes. I don't know. Like, I couldn't really point out a lot of what this character is. Big problem with this movie. I don't know what she's supposed to be. They don't develop any characters, so I couldn't tell you what her character is. It's the love interest. That's what she is. And finally, we have our generic rich guy villain, played by Riz Ahmed from Rogue One fame, playing Carlton Drake. And yeah, he is your bad rich guy. You know, just pull out that straight script for a rich guy that's a dick. And that's a villain. That's him. Like Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor in the Superman movies. That's pretty much him. He's just a rich guy that's a dick. I mean, he was fine. I think he had more character and more drive than any other characters in the movie. But yeah, it was basically your terrible rich guy stereotype, and kind of boring that way, because he kind of knew exactly what was going to happen and what he was going to do. So yeah, I mean, not a lot to say about him, but he was alright. He's okay. So what worked well about Venom? Well, despite itself, they actually got a lot of parts of the Venom character quite right. They gave Venom his own personality, the symbiote Venom, that would actually, talk to Eddie Brock, and he was his own character. And I like that. That is straight from the comics, and that is something that Spider-Man 3 missed. I mean, it missed a lot, but it did miss that. So I think if you were to combine the look and also the, sentient mind of Venom in this movie with the origin from Spider-Man 3, we could actually have a solid Venom for like a whole Venom. Maybe they'll do that in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because I don't think they're going to fold this into that. But yeah, that's... they got parts of that right, and I enjoyed that. They made Eddie and him face off a lot is all right, and then the look of Venom in general was very good. I liked it, even though the CG wasn't totally there all the time. For the most part, he was very done very well. Looked like the comic. It was well done. Another part I really enjoyed was the action. There is some awesome action set pieces, and they're done well. The car chase scene that you see in the trailer goes way longer, has some really cool moments, has some cool stuff with that. There's a fight scene in a building that's done really well. Overall, the action in this is fantastic. They really did some numbers there, and it was really awesome. And another thing worth mentioning is this takes place in San Francisco, and I enjoyed that a lot. It was a different scenery than New York. It played a lot of love to San Francisco, because San Francisco's got a very unique look to it. And it was just different, because we always get superhero movies in New York or Chicago. Like, it's these big, skyscraper-y, kind of cities. And this is something different, and I enjoyed that. It's a different setting, a different look. And that was great. I think it did well to do that, to separate itself from, your other generic superhero movies. Going outside the city, going to a different city, something interesting. So I like that. Oh boy, so not every movie is perfect. Where does Venom fall short? Well, let's start simply with the dialogue is stilted, cliche, and cheesy, and is delivered terribly. There's just awful lines constantly. There's a point where Eddie's talking to either himself or Venom, and he's like, "My leg's broken, now it's not." And I couldn't help but think,
you can't just have your characters announce how they feel. That makes me feel angry.
like, it was a lot of that. It was a lot of, like, just spelling out what they're feeling. Like, it's a lot of tell, not show. And I don't understand why they did that. It was really bad. There's another point where Venom is basically just listing off his weaknesses to Eddie. Like, yeah, I don't like this, and I don't like that, and I don't like this, and I don't like that. Like, why are we, like, I don't... Show that this hurts him. Like, oh my god, why are we just spelling it out? Oh, it was so cliche and bad. A lot of the dialogue is just awful in this movie, just the worst. Along with that, the scenes in this movie are set up really odd. The whole movie is chopped together like an action scene, like the entirety of the movie. And it's not like in a cool, interesting way, like maybe like a Guy Ritchie movie or anything. It was just constant switching settings. It was just like, all right, we're here, now something happens. Now we're here, now something happens. Here, something happens. We're here, something. Like, they never let a scene develop and take its time. So then, as someone watching it, you never get a chance to catch your breath. Again, that's why we don't know much about these characters, is they just go right down like, we got to do this, we got to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do... You don't get a chance to, like, develop things and take a breath and absorb what's happening. It's just constant, we're going. I mean, it was in the level of Batman v Superman of just, like, they could have had an announcer, Meanwhile, downtown San Francisco. Meanwhile, in Eddie Brock's apartment. Meanwhile. Like, they could have done that and it would have fit perfectly. Like, it was just jumping all over the place. Like, one thing. And, like, I don't know why they chopped it together like that. It's really weird. So I've seen a few reviews comparing this to Catwoman and Fan Four Stick. And I don't know if it's that level of bad. But what I will say is it's got a lot in common with Catwoman in the sense that they took the general aesthetic of a character and built a movie around that without understanding the character. They miss a lot of the point of Venom and why Venom works. They just like, well, he looks cool. Just build a movie around that. Catwoman looks sexy and with leather. Just build a movie around that. And this is what it feels like. Like, this is my time. I got to put on my comic nerd glasses and tell you where they fail with Venom. The character, that is. So, if you didn't know, in the comics, Venom is a symbiote from space, which they did get right in the movie, and he attaches himself to Peter Parker because he can feel the power of Spider-Man within him, and his strength and all his powers and whatnot. And in the comics, these symbiotes attach themselves to you. You can't get rid of them. They are attached. This one, they kind of pass around like a cold. Like, it's just like, oh, here's a symbiote. I don't want it anymore. Oh, I'll take your symbiote. Thanks. I got that now. Cool. Like, it was, yeah. Which, I'm going to get more into that. And so, but the symbiote was, like, seeking itself inside Spider-Man and, making him play against himself. And it was a really cool storyline and a lot of what they got right in Spider-Man 3. And then had this amazing scene, especially in the comics, of on the bell tower and using the sound of the bell to weaken the symbiote enough to where he can rip it off himself, just ripping it off and pulling it off himself. And it's this beautifully made, done scene. And even in Spider-Man 3, that scene is fantastic. I mean, a lot of that movie is crap, but that scene is fantastic. And then the symbiote attaches himself to Eddie Brock. And he does this because, again, in the comics, Spider-Man proved Eddie Brock was lying about this whole serial killer thing, and he was like making it up. Like he exposed him for a liar and things of that nature, so he really hated Spider-Man. And the symbiote hated Spider-Man because he felt rejected. So they attached, they bonded on that, and they came together because they both hated Spider-Man. They were ready to destroy Spider-Man. And it was so deep and cool. And again, it attached himself to Eddie, and he couldn't just get rid of it. In this movie, they don't explain why the symbiote wants Eddie so much and why he attaches to Eddie. I think at one point he's just like, well, I like you. You're a cool guy. I like you. Like, that's... Why? Why do he like him? Like, explain, movie. And so, like, again, the comics made it much more dynamic in why he did that. And since it attached himself so much, when Eddie finally wanted to redeem himself and be good, he had to fight and tame the symbiote because it was attached to him. And it was like his life. It was attached. But, you know, why would he tame it in this one? Just get rid of it. Just get rid of it. I don't... And they try and like pull off this whole like story arc of Eddie becoming good, but it was just felt flat because we never see him really be that bad. He was sort of a dick, but didn't really like have a redemption either. So it just all felt really flat, and they just kind of missed the entire point of the character. And yeah, I know this is unfair to compare the movie to the comics because they're two different mediums and they're doing something different with the character, but all I can think of is just the lost opportunity. And that's exactly what they had in Spider-Man 3, too. Just a lost opportunity. And that seems to be Venom's lot in life with the movies, is he's always going to be a lost opportunity. Alright, so time for some spoilers. I want to talk about some very specific things with the movie I liked and didn't like. So throw up the spoiler sign here and jump to this time code here if you want to skip spoilers, because it is spoiler time. So yeah, so when Venom first attaches himself to Eddie, he tries to get him to go to the space shuttle thing, to go to space to bring, which we find out later was to bring a bunch of symbiotes back to take over Earth. But then randomly halfway through the movie, he's just like, no, actually I like Earth. Just kind of said, no, I kind of like it here now. I want to save people now. Again, that's that like flat loss that like they've done that in the comics, but it felt stronger because Venom was this monster, this irreparable monster. But like jamming that into one movie, you're just like, well, I'm good now. Oh, okay, why? Why are you good now? There was no reason for him to want to switch. It wasn't Eddie conquering the symbiote. There wasn't like, you know, a mental fight, or there wasn't like him showing him you can be good and saving somebody. It was just like, nah, I'm good now. That's it. I'm good now. So that was dumb. So the real villain, which is I guess part of a surprise, I don't know, is Riot, which is from the comics and looked pretty good. Thing is, Venom is like, he's got weapons and shit you wouldn't even believe. And he's got like this like kind of Morning Star thing going and some knife arms and things. Some pretty cool stuff. But it's not explained why Venom can't do that. Venom has stabbed people, makes sharp objects with his hands. Why can't he have knife hands too? What's the difference between Riot and Venom? Explain, movie. Why is this one so much more dangerous than you? I don't understand. I don't get it. Why can't Venom just do that? They didn't explain, and so yeah, I don't get it. And since Riot was the main villain and our main hero is Venom, they're both CGI monsters. When you have just two CGI monsters battling each other, it just becomes flat for me, at least. It's just And they even, because they're so like liquidy, I guess you can call them, kind of jelly, they kind of smash together, and it's like this fight of like goo and everything's intertwined, and it's just this whole giant ball of I don't know what's going on. Like they absorb each other at some point, I think, and then I think the villain dies, but then Eddie's there, and I don't understand what was going on at the end of this movie. It was just a big ball of like, well, things are happening. And yeah, that's kind of the problem when you have two symbiotes that you're letting fight as symbiotes happen. Like, that's not... I don't understand what was going on. Along with that ending, the little prelude ending where everyone's now nice and happy and everyone got their happy ending. Eddie and Ann are going to get together. At the beginning of the movie... Eddie like insulted and went after that rich guy, so he got blackballed from being a reporter. But now everything's okay because he's dead. Well, no, he got fired because he's, unruly and he was doing things that could hurt the studio. That's why he was fired. So now it's like, well, nah, it's fine now. The guy that you went after is dead, so that's fine. So now Eddie's just, I'm a reporter again. What? And he just conquers the symbiote, it seems, too. Just like everything's just wrapped in this nice, tidy little bow. Yeah, that was really bad, too. So there's a mid-credit stinger showing Woody Harrelson as Cletus Cassidy, who is a serial killer and becomes Carnage. Couple problems with that. One, no, Jake Busey should be Carnage. I mean, I'd love to see a Carnage, and I want to see Jake Busey be Carnage. Come on. Two, the wig they used for Woody Harrelson is fucking awful. Like, I know it was only for a few seconds, but it looks like they found a clown wig in, like, a box in an attic somewhere. Like, here, you're Cletus Cassidy now. There you go. Like, what the... It looked terrible. And then, again, it had that cheesy line of, there's gonna be carnage. Wink, wink, carnage. Wink. Fucking stupid. Like, something like that, if it's done right, can be like, oh, but no, that was ham-fisted and shitty. Yeah. Also, Venom thinks it's getting another movie. Venom is very wrong. So I think, unsurprisingly to most people, Venom is a bad movie. But what I will say is the trailers sell it exactly what it was. Like, if you liked what you saw in the trailers, you'll probably like Venom. If you didn't like it, you're probably not going to like it. It didn't sell you something different. They've marketed it as what it was. But what it wasn't very good. This is the style of comic movie that killed comic movies in the 90s and almost in the early mid-2000s. Like, we can't just have these cheap cash-in comic movies anymore. There's too many of them happening to where it's going to, kill this genre if we start getting more of those. We're at a point where we have to give these characters a lot of respect and give them the time and energy it takes to make a good movie with them. And these cheap cash-ins just cheapen the genre of comic movies. And this is just a cheap cash-in. It's exactly what everyone thought it was going to be. It was Sony like, oh, well, we need to make more money off Spider-Man somehow. Venom, there we go. Yeah, so what I would finally rate this is see it on cable. Like, if you're already paying for HBO, yeah, see it. If it's like midday on TBS or whatever, yeah, it's probably worth watching. I would not pay to see this. I don't think it's worth checking out. The action scenes are nice, but it's just really bad. I wouldn't suggest people see this movie. I mean, that's just kind of where it's at. So what did you think about Venom? Let me know in the comments below. If you did like it, please let me know why, because I am very curious. I've heard a few people like it, but the only reason I've heard was because Tom Hardy's hot. And that doesn't make a good movie. Like, Elizabeth Berkley was hot in Showgirls, but that didn't make it a good movie. But But please let me know in the comments below. Hit that thumbs up. If I get 1,000 thumbs up, I will get a symbiote attached to me, and we'll have a little storyline going with that, I think. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying. Anyways, and share this video with anyone you could. That would be gratefully helpful to me. If you could just get this out and help me out that way, that would be amazing. So I'm Sexy Matt the Pharaoh Wizard. Until next time, hold on to your hold slots.